All right, we are back with another episode of Disc Golf with Conrad, this time at Riverview Park in North Augusta, South Carolina. This will be the site of the AM side of the of the Agusta Classic going on here in September. We're going to start off with hole 1. Hole 1 is a par 3, 300 feet. Felix is along with me today, and he throws one straight down the fairway that seemed to hit a pocket of the fifth dimension and fall. I throw one here and it goes off to the right over some guy's head, but then comes back in nicely. All right, Felix is going to step up here and probably just try to save his par with a nice little upshot. Again, we're both playing this course blind. We've never played here before. We want to get some practice in before the actual classic. Here I go with a run at it, and right there off the bogey band. That's a small adjustment to make for the real tournament. Vegas secures his 3 as I run up to tap mine in as well. And there you go. All right, so we're going to be moving on to the next hole here. It is another par 3. It's 210 feet, and it seems pretty simple on paper. But let's actually take a look at the hole.
Phone on the bench.
Yeah, there's a small gap right there in the middle that you got to go through, and then let the disc finish to the left. Vic is going off here first. And he pushes something, but it doesn't quite get all the way over. It hits that tree. I'm going to step up here and see if I can't make a slight adjustment on what I just saw and get mine out there as well. So yeah, that didn't quite work. I threw a slightly more overstable disc than necessary. We did throw some more practice shots here, and we did figure out what disc to throw and what angle to put it on to get the best results. For me, it's just the AVR 3. But we always play our first shots here when we are learning a new course, and throw the extra ones just off camera. And it looks like we both were able to recover from the hillside and just be able to tap down there for a par. I'll say with us both having those carts from Disc Stalker, the course is very cart friendly. There weren't any disastrous places where we're like, oh Lord, how is this going to work? Everything was quite easy. This is probably the first one I can think of. It has some steps, but I mean, if you can pull your cart around, you should know how to get it up and down some steps. Oh, there is one other hole where the steps are deadly. I think it's leading from 3 to 4. But on the hole 3 is another par 3. It's 252 feet. And on this hole, I can tell you we learned a very valuable lesson that I hope you can learn from watching this video if you've never played the course before. The basket's right ahead there, so Felix throws and it just hydras out, still inside the circle, I believe, or maybe just outside. I tried to throw my AVR 3 on a slightly better line and hit those trees and fall down. Now, what we did know at the time is there's a pipe down there. There's a pipe and a bunch of garbage, so you really want to stay out of that as possible. I don't think it's going to be marked OB, I'm not sure, but we just played it as it lied. It was punishment enough just to get out. All right, Felix is about to clean up this putt. Oh, and hits cage. I know that feeling all too well. Let's step up here and see if I can save a par. And I can. Again, on this hole, we did throw some extra shots, and that right there was one of his extra shots to get a better feel on what we need to throw for the hole.
Good.
And we did.
Or is it?
Throw better shots, I should say, than the first ones. All right, moving on to hole 4 here. Hole 4 is a par 4 and it's 540 feet. And it has a nice little shape to it here. You have to go through that gap and then make sure you work something that's going to come back over to the left. We were playing a little conservative because, you know, we've never played the course before. I was a little bit more conservative than Felix, but ended up in just about the same spot. And what we learned as we walked down to our disc is that there is a drop off, a steep drop off, the entire length of the hole on the right hand side. So even if you just a few feet off, it's possible that you'll be 6 feet downhill. I threw a shot with my Atlas there, and it was a forehand shot, so I really had to trust that it was going to finish to the left and not at all veer to the right to the garbage that I was just referring to, or the cliff. Felix is going to step up, and he's throwing backhand here. He has a better line with backhand than I did. And let's see what he can do with it. He hits the limb, but he's still able to progress down the hole. The limb probably did slow it down a little bit. He probably would have been a little bit further, but still not a bad approach. Oh, and the tree kick. Now I saw that tree kick and I was like, yeah, just got to get around that tree. Just can't let that happen. Just lay up next to the basket. And I try to go around and get the weirdest kick. I don't know if y'all saw that, but it landed and went high speed to the right. I'm not even sure how it did that with the backhand rotation, that it took off that fast to the right. But it did. One of those disc golf phenomena. And I ended up having to recover from down here. And that's a decent enough shot to get me on the green. And I have to tap out with that bogey. Get out his line of sight so he can putt, and he did. All right. So that was hole 4. Again, that is the par 4 on the front. I think there's only 2 par 4s on the course, and that one is the one on the front. Now we'll move to hole 5, which is another par 3, and it is 246 feet. This one takes a nice hard turn to the left, which for us righties seems like it'd just be a no-brainer, but it's a hard turn. Felix went a little low there. I go a little bit higher, but get rejected by a tree. Luckily, it didn't roll over into the right where there's more stuff to contend with. It just landed in the fairway there. Vegas trying to get around, and from that angle, it was just a very difficult shot. I'm still blocked off a little bit, didn't make it all the way down because of the tree hit, and If you play disc golf, you know the law of averages, and that vine is like next to impossible statistically to hit. And of course, I hit it square.
Yep.
Whoa, whoa,
You
don't
good?
fall. There you go, give yourself a little space. Of course, in the actual round, we'd be marking this with minis, not flipping disc, since that is not the proper way to mark your disc in a sanctioned round. And he gives it a nice little bid there. I want to make sure I insert this excuse for both of us that we did play. We drove 2 hours. We did play Fort Gordon. We played, I think it's Navy Marine, the harder, longer, difficult course. Then we went to a spot for a buffet, which was probably a bad idea too. And then we proceeded to this course. So we're not firing on all cylinders here. If it's not from being tired from the drive or the round at Fort Gordon, it may be from the food that's sitting on our stomachs right now. So with that excuse out there, we will continue. Well, coming up to hole 6, it is a par 3 and then 294 feet. And as you can see there, it is the opposite of 5 where it's going to the right. Now there is a creek down there and also a bridge that we want to take in consideration when you're throwing. Felix was trying to lay up to the bridge just before the creek so he has a better look over at the pin. But that just came out wrong. I'm taking a slightly different approach. I am actually going to go with a forehand, which is not exactly my strong suit, but it seemed like the more high percentage play for actually getting close to the basket. So I throw that, and then I remain perfectly in the line of sight for where the disc went. So it basically went straight. It did turn a little bit when it was in a brush when it did. Felix is pitching out here. That's exactly where he wanted to land, and that is not where he wanted it to roll. Luckily, it didn't go in the creek, but it did roll behind these obstacles here. And he's, practicing that swing like he's going to make a nice little forehand here and right off the bridge. He did throw a second one that went nicely over there, and that one did stay dry. It did make it over the bridge and stay dry.
Good.
So decent little upshot, and now we got a putt coming. And oh, Cajun pole and then roll. That is the worst. That is the worst.
Yep.
When that happens, it just kind of shakes your confidence because you did everything right. You hit the chain center, hit the pole, and then it just didn't stay. Luckily, he was able to recover. Now, unfortunately, I did miss the me throwing out of the brush, and I'm actually looking over towards hole 7. I did not know that bridge went to 7, but we found that out the hard way. I was able to tap that in just over the cage, and then we'll progress to hole 7. Now, we went the wrong way, or the roundabout way, to get to 7, so we ended up leaving our carts actually on the 7's off of 7's fairway and just took a few discs down to the tee area. Because of our limited selection, we just had to throw what we had, and I throw a Thunderbird here on a forehand, and from down there it looked perfect, right in line with the basket that we were shooting at. And I probably would not have used that disc if I had all my other discs at my disposal, but it worked out fine. Oh, we have a little grip lock there. Not stayed dry, so there's that. Now all he has to do is get out and have a decent approach. And he tried to get out. Just noticed that he got nicked by that branch a little bit that stopped his progress. And it ended up short of where he was trying to go. It may have been a good thing because those roots may have given him a little bit more ground play than he was anticipating. So again, we're playing with the same disc we took down to the tee because we are just too lazy to go back to our bags. And when you're correcting the grip lock, you release it early. So at this point, we're just soldiering on up this hill. And that was a very, very decent upshot. Good enough to have a putt to tap out to. Alright, so we'll see my forehand just landed about 20-25 feet away from the basket. Not bad for the limited selection that I had, and the thought that I wasn't even going to make it up there. It is a severe elevation change, much more than the camera actually shows. And we all go through the putting modes at sometimes. Hopefully this will be out of his system by the time we get to the actual round. I'm pretty sure it will. When things like that happen, it makes you go back to the drawing board. Makes you go in the backyard and practice those putts. Alright, so next we're going to move on to hole 8. It is a par 3, 246 feet. And again, on paper, it looks simple. But once we actually take a look at the hole, whoever did this didn't like us. So you see the mando on the tree there. That's to keep us out of the property for the water company over there. I'll take a pure and just pipe it down the middle, actually go beyond the basket.
Nicely
done. What you can't see from the tee box as well is there is a creek that it comes and it turns right in front of what would be the fairway and goes slightly off to the right. So it's not just a simple creek that you have to cross. It stays in play for a while.
Missed the Mando, and it stayed on it.
The good news there is Felix did not miss the Mando. So he is trying to position himself so he can get down the fairway again. That looked like a nice little out. And we'll see what we can make from here. Oh, just a little kiss off the tree with a bad misdirect. And I think he was playing a little bit faster than I was walking. He did pitch out there. And someone still has their CTP from whenever they do dubs out here. I'm going to walk back to my disc. Actually went a little further back than I thought it did off the tee, but still gave me a decent line at the basket. I was able to tap in for the 2. Felix is able to come and tap out as well. So we're moving on to the last hole for the front 9. It is hole 9. It's a par 3. And it's 228 feet. So, as we tee off here, I hope that the video helps anyone who has not played the course before get a little familiar with what they're going to face. And if you have played the course before, then you can just laugh at our effort of trying to navigate. This is a simple hole. It goes straight up and slight left. There are a few trees right around the basket, but none to really worry about. And Felix gets a lucky shot there, getting through that little gap. Be careful when you're up here, because there may be a smell. That sewer grate there seems like it was in the middle of processing stuff. Did not smell good at all. So yeah, my shot came up here and skipped way more to the left than I thought it from the tee box. It was a good shot, but it just flared way left past the basket. And I'm trying to putt through a little window and I get through the window, but it just didn't have enough height. Hit the basket. Felix is going to pick up and tap out for his par, and I will do the same. All right. Well, this has been another episode of Disc Golf with Conrad. Again, I hope that you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for the back nine. And again, we're at Riverview Disc Golf Course in North Augusta.
Oh, that was a shot.
Special appreciation goes to UDisc, helping me find new courses, either at home or on a trip. Can we say Disc Golf Vacay? You'll need help navigating those courses, pre-planning a round, or finding the next hole. Stats that are good enough for the PDGA Pro Tour and for the average Joes like us.